Hey, Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. And this time we are looking at the Moritaka Aogami Super Long Nakiri. So the construction on these, they have 3 layers, and the inside harder core steel, the cutting edge steel, the center steel is Aogami Blue Paper Super Reactive High Carbon Steel from Hitachi. They tend to heat treat a little on the harder side, 64 Rockwell, so this steel will take a really nice edge and has excellent edge retention as well. The cladding on each side of that reactive core steel is also reactive. It is a soft iron cladding, and then iron cladding does have what's known as a kurouchi or blacksmith type protective finish on it. So this is an all reactive blade. There's no stainless except for the tang. We'll get to that in a second. The weight and dimensions on these will vary just a little bit from knife to knife. This particular one is 179 grams or 6.3 ounces. The overall length of the edge itself is 180 millimeters, so from the tip to the back of the heel, about 7 inches. And the overall length of the knife with handle is around 13 inches. The spine thickness, these tend to be a little thicker coming out of the handle, and then they thin up as you get down the blade. So this particular one is about 3.3 millimeters thick above the back of the heel here, and then halfway down I measured it about 2.2, and being this style of blade, it pretty much just holds it all the way to the end of the top on the spine. The blade height is about 58.1 millimeters at the heel, and the handle is an octagonal, what's known as hoe wood or magnolia wood, with a buffalo horn ferrule. The fit and finish tends to be pretty good on these. You sometimes get a little bit of a, not a gap necessarily, but a little bit of a jump between the wood and the buffalo horn. This one's kind of no exception to that, but overall nice fit and finish. Usually pretty good glue up job on these. It just depends on the particular knife, but you always want to check that, see if there's any gaps in there that might need sealing up. This particular handle is about 72 millimeters in circumference where the two materials meet, and the handles are light, and so the balance point on this blade is going to be fairly far forward. So there's the balance point. And so my pinch grip definitely is behind that, so that gives you a little bit of a weight forward balance bias, which is good for this style of knife for a little bit of cutting power. Let's, I guess, do our beauty shot here. So one of the features of this knife is they weld on a stainless steel tang, which goes into the handle. And if you do get moisture back in there, that stainless tang, of course, is less of a chance of getting corroded than reactive tang. So that's one of the features that they tout of their knives. So that's where the color change occurs. And on the left side of the blade, as you'd be holding it, there's some embossed kanji on there, and you can see these kind of longitudinal grind marks on there. Their kurouchi is pretty smooth. It does not tend to be, it doesn't have a reputation for being very super durable, so it may wear off a little bit quicker than you might expect, but this is kind of the way their knives are. So I've got a Santoku in this line, and you know, certain types of product you may find the KU finish kind of wearing off a little bit, but behind that it'll be the same kind of gray, and then that'll patina as well. So these tend to be hammered nice and straight. This is fairly stiff, actually pretty stiff. It does have typically they put a lacquer finish on it as well. I'd say the out of the box edge was a good 5, maybe 6 out of 10. Pretty nicely crafted edge, pretty sharp as well. The spine is not rounded, but they don't have like sharp edges. It is a pretty, 90-degree type edge at the corners, but it's not sharp. And then they've done some nice relieving, some file work and grinding work on the choil into the neck, so that's very comfortable as well. So these are pretty well ready to go right out of the box. The profile on this, you'll see, is quite flat, and you can see the grind's pretty low on these, so they're going to have good food separation, pretty good food release, maybe a little wedging in certain types of things. There's a compromise, of course, in the types of geometry that you can set up a knife and kind of compromise the different characteristics. Here is the edge profile on the board, which you can see is very, very flat. You've got just a little bit of rise towards the front, and the rest of it is quite flat. So this is obviously oriented around chopping, definitely not rocking. The tip does have a little bit of a 45 to it, but this really isn't a rocking profile, as you can definitely tell. So very, very flat. So if you're looking for something a little bit bigger than the standard Nakiri and you want something a little bit longer, a little heavier, it's a really good line of knives. They've got a good reputation for many years, and so just nice products. So this is the Moritaka Aogami Super Long Nakiri knife.